What up, Fightful friends and family, and welcome to another edition of Fightful Wrestling Roundtable. I am your host, Shakiel Mahjouri of CBS Sports, but that is the least of your interests and concerns because we got another stacked STACKED lineup of guest panelists for today. First of all, you know who he is, Simon Miller, What Culture, and Beyond. The Goldberg, Stone Cold Steve Austin. I guess Luke Owens has kind of stolen your thunder on the 316 end a little bit, so you guys got to hash that out. But Simon Miller, how are you, my man?
I'm very well, thank you very much, my friend. It's a pleasure to be here. And yeah, Luke can have all of that stuff. Like, I regret putting 316 in my Twitter handle. I never knew what my future held, but here we are, and there's no going back.
We also got Alex, Queen of the Ring. First, we had the interview queen, Alicia, too. The royalty just keeps on rolling in. Of course, she's from Church and Joshi and everywhere else. Alex, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. I'm ready to dish it out in this infamous Elite Roundtable.
Elite, I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
And speaking of Elite, if he's not doing Wrasslerap, you're seeing him everywhere from the Renee Paquette, oral sessions with Renee Paquette, all the way to Good Brothers podcast. Sorry, guys, I am so in desperate need of a coffee, but fortunately, we have Emilio Sparks energy to bring me back to life. Pedialyte and all. How are you, Emilio?
Oh, man, this episode of whatever we're doing right now is sponsored by Pedialyte and my stomach virus. Simon, Queen, it's a pleasure. Shaq, man, I got to say, big fan of what you guys do, and I'm ready to talk some graps today. But, yeah, I do all the podcasts, the sessions with Renee Paquette, Talking Shop with the Good Brothers and Rocky Romero, and Wrasslerap with the Mighty Vin. So if you've heard some of these things, hey, I'm here to do what we do here. So let's go.
And if you haven't, you've got so much content to check out immediately after this roundtable from everyone involved.
Right, like you're snoozing.
Yeah, look at that. Quick shout out to Sean Ross Sapp, obviously not here, but you may get a cameo later in the show. We'll see about that. Guys, let's get started. First, if you haven't, please, if you're a returning or new viewer, maybe you join one of these wonderful people over at Fightful, please subscribe, notification bell, thumbs up. All that goes a long way. We'll cover 3 topics today, plus a Q&A. So if you have a question you'd like asked, please leave a super chat. We'll get to it at the end of the show. Maybe bust out a little bonus topic. Let's get going, guys. First things first, Royal Rumble season. It's no matter how disenfranchised you may sometimes be with the WWE, there is nothing like Royal Rumble season to get you back into the swing of things. And with the Royal Rumble comes so much. Who should win? Who's going to WrestleMania? Surprise entrances. I want to start here, though. Obviously, fans are always critical about WWE's sort of development of main roster stars, and I was looking down the list of potential Royal Rumble winners this year. I'll be honest, especially when you've got Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, champion versus champion on the horizon, who looks like a legitimate contender to win that thing? Simon, I'll go to you first.
Well, I mean, before all the recent changes, I thought we were going to have a Big E redemption story. He was going to win. It was going to be lovely. But I don't think that anymore. I think everything that's happened over the last few weeks means we're heading in a vastly different direction. So I kind of have 2 picks for it. I have this vision that the Men's Royal Rumble will be the main event. And there will be some title changes either between Brock and Roman or, Roman and Seth, and Bobby Lashley and Brock. And then whoever kind of loses that may pivot into the Royal Rumble and win it. I can genuinely see Roman Reigns losing his championship and then winning the Rumble. I can totally see it. But if we're not going to do that and Seth Rollins is going to get a win, then it could be Kevin Owens' year, which for me personally would be wonderful because I love that man. I always felt like he deserved an honor or an accolade like that. I mean, the last time he got anything was 2016? He was Universal Champion. So these are the 2 things that I'm going for. But you do make a great point. When you go through the list, there's no one that really jumps out at you. I mean, honestly, I'm not sure how they would tie this into WrestleMania. But if you wanted to give it to Austin Theory and say, we are pushing this guy, I'd say, hell yeah. WWE has never really done that, like use the Royal Rumble as this huge stepping off point, or at least they haven't for a long time. But I can't see it happening. I would put my money on, Big E outside bet, Kevin Owens, or if Roman's going to lose, or if Brock's going to lose, I can see one of them going into the Rumble and being victorious.
That's more than one answer, Simon, although I don't think I decided to keep you to one answer.
I do that a lot.
Nah, it's okay. Alex, where do we got you at?
So I'm gonna agree with Simon. I also think that Kevin Owens has the potential to win, especially now he has just resigned. I'm sure there is probably something new in his contract to maybe push him, especially with a Royal Rumble win, a WrestleMania win. Again, there's that story with the Universal title. He could go after that. He's never had his technical rematch, I guess. And also Brock, Kevin Owens, that could be a really good build up to WrestleMania as well. Kevin Owens has the potential, has the talent to put over a program, whatever they deliver him. And especially with most of his friends jumping ship to AEW, there's got to be something tying him down with WWE. So hopefully he has a Royal Rumble win. But over with the women, I think this year Naomi should win. I think right now, Naomi has the one consistent storyline in WWE. It's been going on since August with Sonya Deville, and we have yet to have a real reason as to why Sonya Deville is doing this to Naomi. And so I think this is the time to do it, right? I mean, Naomi not only gets the ultimate payoff of winning the Royal Rumble, but at the same time, she can come in as number one, or even in an early stage, she can be the Iron Woman in that Royal Rumble. Sonya Deville can send out different people, send out Shayna Baszler, send out Raquel Gonzalez. They've done it before where they've built Royal Rumbles around one person. So why not do it with Naomi? And I think it's her time.
Did we ever get any context? Like, I have to watch SmackDown. And granted, sometimes SmackDown can be pretty entertaining. Why were Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville complaining about the thermostat in the office? Did we ever get any sort of... I was ready for Kane. No. I was ready for Naomi.
For a pun.
Just messing around.
No.
Like,
it was done for a pun.
That's it. You get no context. There's never a follow through with anything. It's just whatever. It's just out into the ether, and then it never exists, never mentioned ever again.
Before you go on to Emilio, Simon, did you want to give a quick pick for the Women's Rumble?
Yeah, sorry, I thought we were just doing men's. How loose are we being with our language in terms of spoilers? Are we mentioning? Are we not mentioning? Are we being kind to people that may not want spoilers?
Listen, you're probably more in the loop than I am. I'm going to say go for it. I feel like the Fightful fans are informed. Go for it. Unless you've seen the script and you know the winner.
Yeah, I wrote it.
Okay.
I'm convinced this Ronda Rousey rumors. I mean, I could just be being a massive nerd, which I tend to be, but I've totally bought into them because I think it makes sense. And if not her, I think you got to give it to Bianca Belair. You know, I would definitely do a repeat for her because I think that's just got superstar written all over it. But if the Rousey stuff is true, yeah, it will definitely be Rousey. And if it's not true, then I'll go with Bianca.
Okay, Emilio, let's start with the women since we're on that topic.
Yeah, I think I definitely have to piggyback on what Simon was saying just because of the whole like kerfuffle that the internet is causing right now with Ronda Rousey. And I think what better way, and I think Alex, because she is more in tune with the women's division in SmackDown and Raw, she could definitely shed more light onto this. But as far as just divisions go, the men and the women, it is so paper thin in terms of how you build your talent that they definitely, and shame on them for doing it, but they definitely need the status of a Ronda Rousey to come in and to shake things up just a bit. Now, if she comes in and wins the Rumble at number 27, I think that's the wise choice. She comes in, she does the judo throws, couple of punches, kicks, whatever, wins, points to the sign, we keep it moving, and then she can go on and she can face whoever, right? I think she was already Raw Women's Champion. Why not work the Friday and face Charlotte Flair? So like let's do that now because she did it with Bex. Now let her work the Queen if Charlotte, stays Women's Champion on blue for an extended period of time. As far as my dark horse pick, I would love to see Asuka because where the hell has Asuka been? And who better than to come back than to have Asuka? To me, she's the perfect in regards to a professional wrestler, not even a women's professional wrestler. She's the perfect wrestler. And I know she was injured. I don't know the severity of the injury, but it's been an extremely long time since Asuka has been on WWE programming. And what better way to come back? Even if she doesn't win the thing, I think to have her come in and maybe do the Natty run where, I think it was Natty has over an hour in. I would love to see Asuka take that record, or even a Bianca. I would love to see Bianca win and become a 2-time women's WWE Royal Rumble winner. But again, who knows, what goes on with Bex and Bianca and Doudrop. Maybe we see something where Bex interferes with Bianca interferes with Bex and Doudrop. And then we see that, and maybe there's like a thing that leads into that for WrestleMania. I don't know. There is more interest for me this year than any other year in the Women's Royal Rumble, because that has more intrigue to me. And maybe it's because they already listed all the entrants and all the surprises, so on and so forth. But the men's side is so thin in terms of a roster. It's like, whoa, what are you guys doing? Like, you could build so many guys, and they used to do this. And I'm old enough to know this, that they used to make it a big deal where for several weeks and maybe even several months, they would have these mid-card guys really go off on these tears and really look credible for where they would come in. And if they were, let's say, a number 12 entrant, they would stay to like number 20. And the commentators would really put over that this could be this individual's year. They haven't done that in a long time. So when you look at all the male stuff, you're like, damn, who could really come from out and be that dark horse winner? A lot of people were shocked when McIntyre won because it was kind of unexpected. They were really playing it up against that this was Brock's year to win the Royal Rumble. And then they had that beautiful storyline with Ricochet coming in, and then, the Claymore and Brock was out, and then that really started this rise for Drew. But this year there really isn't that. Would I love to see a guy like Damian Priest like get the opportunity to really show and blow up and have the elimination run where like it was Kane and then it was Roman? Oh, absolutely. But I think in terms of if I have to genuinely pick a winner, I'm going Kevin Owens as well. Not because, he's not one of the greatest talkers, but I think he is so good at being a tweener where you need him if he's a heel, you need him as a face. He's such a role player that he can do anything depending on who wins out of Brock and Bobby. And if Brock goes over, then you can really have Kevin do some dynamite heel work for a face Brock. Oh man, you can change the dynamic and you can have a really interesting WrestleMania build. So those are my picks.
Yeah, the inner mid to late 2000s Impact fan in me is just begging for that Mickie James upset that we're never gonna get. But one can hope and one can dream. What kind of bothers me about the Women's Rumble is there are so many participants that I'd say up until like right before WWE Day 1 would have been legit contenders. People like Liv Morgan, Naomi, Bianca Belair, and it just seems like they have so many stars on the precipice of getting that big push, and then they never really give them the run they deserve, right? Like Liv Morgan Mania was going insane leading into Day 1. Bianca Belair before she got very quickly upset by Becky Lynch. Like, they keep getting these women into these prime positions to really push them and make them the face of the women's division, and then they just kind of go back to who they know. So my heart's kind of broken going into the Women's Royal Rumble, but I do think Alex has a good point. It'd be really nice to get a payoff off this Naomi Sonya Deville feud, especially in a sense where, you've been sticking it to me, you've been holding me back, and here I am. I won the Royal Rumble. No one can say anything. I'm going to WrestleMania. So Alex won me over with that one. I like that idea.
Well, I did want to add, like, Ronda Rousey coming out, that would be great. Yeah. But Ronda Rousey does not need a Royal Rumble win in order to go on to WrestleMania. I do think that maybe if she does come back, if she returns at the Rumble, However it may be, even on Monday Night Raw, she's still going to get a WrestleMania match. I think that they might go ahead and do her versus Becky, since we haven't actually got that singles payoff. We only got a triple threat at WrestleMania 35, I believe. So while I do see y'all, and I do agree with y'all, but also I think another thing that that we should highlight, which I actually said on Twitter, I'm pretty sure Mickie James is the first active, maybe not first, maybe it's been a while. I know some people brought up Dan Severn, but I think she's the first active world champion to compete from an active promotion, another promotion that has no ties with WWE, and that's actually competing in a Royal Rumble. Although the spoiler, I would have loved if it was a prize as well, but I think that's merit for the women to Royal Rumble, to main event Royal Rumble, just alone on that. So, but we'll see what happens Saturday.
Yeah, and I think Alex make a good point. If you want to, Naomi's been getting the better of Charlotte Flair week after week on SmackDown. So if you want to keep that SmackDown title, then you get to keep Raw open for Becky versus Ronda. On the men's side, I know Drew McIntyre is out injured, but he was rumored to be the main feud for either Roman Reigns or Brock Lesnar through January. If he's healthy enough to make a one-off appearance at the Rumble, I wouldn't be entirely surprised if they tried to throw him back into the mix. Simon, I'm afraid they're going to do what you're saying they're going to do, because rumor has it Roman is going to drop the title to Lesnar day one, which, by the way, slap in the face. He was on the verge of being the longest reigning Universal Champ. And then you're gonna feed him to Brock. You're gonna do that to him then, as if Brock doesn't have enough history making asterisks next to all of his titles. I can definitely see them doing that. Man, I hope not. What's the point? Because you're gonna end up with Roman versus Brock in WrestleMania either way if you want it. It seems so counterintuitive, and I know you're not saying they should, but I'm really afraid that what you're saying is gonna be true. Very quickly. Oh yeah, sorry, Simon.
No, I was just going to say, I think that's why they'll do it. Yeah. That usually seems to be what happens.
Before we move on to topic number 2, very quickly, I would like I'll let you choose, just preface it, who you think will be the Forbidden Door entry for the men's side, or who you would like it to be. But like it to be within the realm of possibility. We're not doing Mox. We're not doing Cody. I love it, but keep that away. Emilio, we'll start with you. Oh, sorry.
Oh man, I don't want to be like the cynic and be like, this company doesn't play well with others, and they don't allow to play in the sandbox. But I'm gonna if we don't say that, what's the point? But if they're more in tune to wanting to and be in a utopian society where wrestling can be perfect for this one magical night, I think they would play well in the sandbox with New Japan Pro Wrestling, because that's something that Triple H wanted to do an extremely long time ago. And I would like to see, and I would hope that they would do that, because I think as a global promotion, why not work with New Japan Pro Wrestling? They're not going to, I would love to see them also work with AEW, but we all know that that's not going to happen, in a real world. But in this context, I think anybody from New Japan, I know that Ospreay would be a great one, right? I think Tanahashi would absolutely be bonkers. But I think you to me, one of the ultimate ones, and I think a huge pop would be Kazuchika Okada, because again, who else there is the benchmark? And when you think of IWGP royalty in regard championship, it's him. The guy brings a certain cachet. And he has always been talked about on the Reddits and the dirt sheets, if not now, when. And if you really want a great working partnership, because I know they wanted to do a PC in Japan, well, then this is the opportunity to really start to really strengthen that with this. And I think Kazuchika Okada would be the perfect guy, and it would really pique interest in your international markets as well. if the forbidden door, if we're allowed to open it up and somebody's allowed to walk through the thing, then it should be Okada.
And to support your case, Emilio, let's not forget, WWE seemed open to Daniel Bryan's request when he was still with the WWE about working some New Japan dates. Nick Khan came out and said that he's open to it. So,
which again, like, you know, it's they could leave a lot of money on the table working in that Japanese market if they don't do it. And listen, the only time that we ever seen that happened in oh God, the last, I don't know, 40 years was NXT TakeOver Brooklyn when it was Breeze versus Jushin Liger.
Mm-hmm.
So let's do it. Like, you know, like I want to see that happen. Let's get some and let's reference the IWGP Championship.
Mm-hmm.
AJ's had it,
Yes.
Brock's had it, Shinsuke's had it, Kurt Angle's had it. Like that's a title that's been part of the fabric of WWE for a minute. Even the ties with the Junior Heavyweight Championship and WWE have held ties together. So this is a company that did play nice for a while. So let's bring it back and let's do it then. So that's my pick. It would be Okada.
Simon, I'll go with you because I know I cut you off last time.
No, that's all good. I mean, I'd be happy to sacrifice the Forbidden Door for Veer to be in the Royal Rumble. And then finally sign up
I
to
believe it's
WWE.
going to happen. I believe it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Veer.
But in terms of, I'd like to see Moose. I really would like to see Moose. I mean, we've already got the relationship between, you know, Mickey doing it on the women's side. So you'd imagine there must be an agreement we can come to on the men's side. And I just think over the last year or so, you know, he's really, really, really come into his own. Like he's smashing it. He's a great servant, I suppose is a good word for Impact. He said he's always, I mean, the other day he said he thinks, you know, that their product is as good, if not better than WWE or AEW. And whether or not you agree with that is irrelevant. That's what you want to hear from the people that are on your brand. So, I mean, I don't really know, you know, to Emilio's point, I don't know how much cachet he would have to the WWE fan base, because obviously a lot of WWE fans just watch WWE. So maybe they would look at it as it's too beneficial to Impact as opposed to us. But I would know, yeah, in this sort of magical land that we're making up, if Moose came out, I think, and he's massive too. So I think, you know, you have something to that. Well, who's going to throw him out? So yeah, I would like to see that. I think that would be pretty cool.
Alex?
I'm gonna have to agree with Emilio because that was exactly my answer. I feel like New
I saw you
Japan
smiling.
yeah, because I was like, yep, I agree. Because New Japan is the forbidden door that at least WWE would play nice with, I guess, you know, because like I agree with Emilio, you know, this company, I mean, when they announced Mickie James, that was very shocking. But I do think that there was a point that Triple H did want to work very close with New Japan. I mean, most of the people that he's brought in, like Kushida, like Finn, like AJ Styles, they've all come from New Japan. So I think that WWE has always had a close eye on that company anyway for years to come. I do think Okada would be a great choice for the Royal Rumble, but I also think, and I'm pretty sure he's injured, or maybe not, Kota Ibushi. He's had a relationship with WWE. He's competed in NXT. He's competed in the Cruiserweight tournament as well. So him coming out, he is a high flyer, but even so, that's not, you know, necessary for the Royal Rumble. But I do think he would be a good entrant for the Rumble. So yeah, New Japan.
Just imagine like AJ Styles is in the ring and we see Okada walk out, or Okada and Nakamura. Yeah, that is preferably my number one choice, but to mix it up a bit, in terms of what I think is possible, I think with the relationship with Impact, they might lean on a former WWE superstar to get that sort of fanfare. Maybe Matt Cardona, maybe W. Morrissey kind of makes sense. And I did steal these from a What Culture article, so I'll shout out your colleague Simon Miller. If we're gonna go with New Japan and it's not Okada and it's not Tanahashi, I would prefer, especially with the idea of working with New Japan, I'd rather have a Japanese wrestler, but I know WWE likes them some Jay White. We know Jay White's been doing some stuff with Impact, and so I could also see that possibly paying out. And that'd be good. That'd be pretty exciting. All right, guys, ready to move on to topic number 2? Let's do it.
Yes.
Look at that. 3 thumbs up. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Guys, Jon Moxley makes his return to AEW. and what fan service he got from all but one guy who I think was promptly given the boot. Very quickly, it'll be a two-parter. First, just quick thoughts on Jon Moxley's promo. I'd like to think we all here have better taste than Bully Ray. How nice was it to see Jon Moxley get back there, get on the mic, and really open up to people? We'll go in reverse order. So we'll start with Alex this time.
Yeah, I think Jon Moxley returning in that promo was great. He looked good. He sounded good. I'm happy to see him come back. With everything that he's gone through, that's not easy to go through. And I hope that he is good, not only physically, but also mentally as well, because we do say that these wrestlers put their bodies on the lines, but they also put their mental health on the lines as well. And we advocate for mental health all the time when something bad happens to a wrestler. So I just hope that he is well mentally in the ring, outside of the ring as well. And even in his match on Rampage was really great against Ethan Page. We all know that he was going to win, and that was a really good match as well. But when he had that moment with Daniel Bryan, it sold me. It really, really sold me, because these are two very familiar wrestlers, but we have not seen them in this environment in AEW, like without the ball and chain, so to say. And we've seen Daniel Bryan put out tremendous matches within the past 6 months. He's only been with that company for 6 months, and he's had amazing matches, dream matches with Kenny Omega, Minoru Suzuki, and Adam Page. And I think this is also another dream match with Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley. These are two completely different wrestlers that we have not seen in a very long time, and they've evolved to the people that they are today in AEW. So I think maybe in the next pay-per-view for AEW, that is a really good lineup for him. But also Jon Moxley, he just came off a GCW win. He's retained the GCW championship. So there's big things happening with Moxley, just not in AEW, but also within wrestling, in the future of wrestling.
I'm going to tweak the question a little bit for each person. Emilio, obviously the Bryan Danielson match is going to be bonkers. I think they were supposed to be in the finals of the AEW kind of title eliminator tournament before all this, before he had to take some much needed time off and work through what he had to work through. Moving past Bryan Danielson for a moment, what would you like to see AEW do with Jon Moxley long term? Are you interested in seeing him back in the title picture right now? Would he make a good challenger, champion? Are there other sort of tantalizing matchups you can see for him beyond?
I think the greatest thing about Jon Moxley is his ability to go up and down a card and never lose his value. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He is that type of performer that is universal. He can do anything, he can work anybody, and it'll still have a big fight feel. And, you take a really great performer like Ethan Page, and sometime in that match, you think, well, wait a minute, could All Ego really pull this out? Because there's a believability factor in anything that Jon Moxley likes to do. And there's a big fight, real fight feel. If you watch Moxley matches, they don't go long because he wants to keep it in that shroud of realism where anybody can crack off anything. You get in a fist, an elbow, a knee, you put somebody to sleep, because he's a combat sports guy. But that's just how he's been working since he started. You could even go back to some of the stuff that he did with Brody Lee in CZW. It's just always been this frenetic type of, at any moment the match can end. What I would like to see, and we were just getting a taste of it, is Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston as AEW World Tag Team Champions. Because I think you give me a title run with those two dudes and let them really go, and you give them like the creative license to cut the promos the way they want, and to really, because everybody needs a good dance partner, right? And how you do that now, like Jurassic Express, they need somebody like hot to work. Why not work the best of the best in terms of Moxley and Kingston, where they can really carry all the promos on mic? And then in the in-ring, everybody can share within the goodness because they're all top-tier competitors. So I would like to see that. I don't think Jon Moxley needs a secondary or a primary world championship right now. I don't even think he needs a tertiary, but I think it would be cool and it would add an interesting dynamic. And it would be kind of dope to be like, okay, well, who could be the first AEW, triple threat or Grand Slam champion in the company's existence? I think that would be really cool. And I liked how AEW does their title runs. Some of them are the TNT championship could either go either way. It can be where it's a fight and something cracks off and somebody's brand new and they've held it for, let's say, 100 days, or there's an interim champion, or the world champion sometimes can go 300 days in Kenny Omega. I like that. And the tag team, they do it as well. But I would like to see Jon Moxley as a world tag team champion with Eddie Kingston.
I like that. Simon, question for you. Bryan Danielson coming off, in a sense, like 1.5 losses to Hangman Adam Page because he was just on the verge of winning the first time. Who do you think needs this win more? John, this is sort of his comeback run right now. Bryan Danielson, top tier guy, but did lose in his first major feud. Who do you think needs to come out of this storyline with their hand raised?
I think that's why it makes the feud so interesting, because they're both in really interesting places. And as we know, AEW 9 times out of 10 will give you a finish. They're not really into DQs. They're not really into crazy stuff like that. And that's why, obviously I loved it because it's Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley. But the other reason was instantly my brain went, well, how on earth do we put this together? Because you don't want to beat Bryan Danielson too much because he is so good. And, wins and losses, especially in AEW, do count. But Jon Moxley has just come back from this, life-affirming journey, I suppose, for lack of a better term. And you want to see him win, right? You want the end of that story to be like, oh, man, yeah, he got the good one. So I think if you really break it down, you probably want to give it to Jon Moxley just because his story is so cemented in reality at the moment. And I think it would just make me feel good. But it's wonderful because the company has made it very clear, again, that they're going to make sure that people win and people lose. But in this instance, you won't actually get, nobody will actually lose on the other side because they have ridiculous matches. I imagine they'll probably do like they did with Hangman. They'll extend it a little bit. Maybe we'll get 2, maybe we'll get 3. So maybe they do 2-1. But even if it is Jon Moxley that gets that, that third one, Bryan Danielson will then come back the next week and probably have a 5-star classic with anybody on the roster. You're like, who even cares? But yeah, it's the, if we treat this right and we give it all the little nuances and all the little callbacks that, geeks like me will really enjoy, it's just going to be so much fun. But I think you want to give it to Mox. Mox, that promo he cut, I said it on Twitter and I still mean it, even though some people rolled their eyes at me. I think it was just one of the most important ones ever cut. And I don't mean it because it changed wrestling or anything, but even if it speaks to one person who looks up to the man and thinks, oh, I'm going to change my life as well, that's far more important than anything you can do in wrestling.
I agree with that 100%. And the most important promos to me are always the ones that peel back that curtain and show the vulnerability of the person. And here you have somebody who always keeps his cards close to his heart and never really talks about anything. He's an extremely private person, but he's a sweet person and he has a very, very good heart. And, giving an audience like that was silent and hanging on every word he said, that's amazing control. But there was a perspective into that. And he highlighted in so many words without necessarily saying it that you are not defined by your pain nor your past. And it is okay to lean on somebody and ask for help. You are not alone with what you do, and you will come out of this. Like even if you think that there is no end in sight, I assure you that better days are ahead. And that is incredible to say without saying it as a cliche cheerleader. We're going to go and we're going to do this. The way he said it and the way he put it was in such a beautiful context that not only made it about himself, but he made it about others. And he semi-blurred the lines of, is this really John Good or is this Jon Moxley? And to me, that's the perfect promo. And props to AEW for just going, here you go. Here's the live mic. Say what you say. Go as long as you got to go. Get everything off your chest.
Yep.
And welcome back to the fold. Incredible. Incredible promo.
Look at that. What better note to end on than that one as we move on to the next topic. How do you segue out of something like that? You just want to let it sink in. Topic number 3. Now, in a lighter sense, speaking of people that need help, we kind of been hammering the WWE over the course of the Royal Rumble stuff about their inability to build up a lot of real contenders for this Royal Rumble. But that kind of speaks to the greater WWE storyline product when it comes to Raw and SmackDown. They're not the only ones. You have AEW now with a really big roster, and although I applaud them for the job they do when it comes to rotating talent in and out, the reality is, and Tony Khan's admitted it in the sense that he's really scaling back on the free agent signings, there's only so much room on television. What I'd like from each person is one WWE superstar and one AEW wrestler that need a little bit more love from the creative end. Simon, we'll start with you.
Well, in WWE, I'm always going to throw Ricochet in there because Ricochet, I mean, I sound like I'm his marketing guy, but he does things that other people can't do, which is even more impressive in 2022 because we're living in the world of wrestling where everybody can do flippy-dippy doodah stuff. Like I saw highlights of Brian Cage versus Will Ospreay the other day, and you got Brian Cage flipping around the place. So, we're living in those times, but still, when you watch a Ricochet match, you'd have to be crazy not to go, you can do more with this guy. And I understand it. WWE has their playbook and they don't like to deviate too much from it. But when you have a dude like that on your roster, it's just time to have some fun. And much like the Jon Moxley promo with Ricochet, you just go out there and wrestle, man. You do whatever you want to do. I think we've had 3 Sheamus versus Ricochet matches over the last 3 weeks or whatever it was.
I was complaining to Alex about this before you guys got on the call.
Yeah. And it's like, even though there's no story and, it's the law of diminishing returns, once you get to number 3, you're going to be like, well, they still found a way to make it work. It's because Sheamus is really good. But, Sheamus, he's kind of like a legacy wrestler at the moment in the sense, he's been the world champion. He's won a Royal Rumble. We've given him the props that he absolutely deserves. And I still can't believe, we haven't done that with Ricochet. I find it crazy. And on the AEW side, I'm going to kind of go a little bit left field, but I would like to see more from Private Party because there was a time at the beginning, and I get it. Once like you said, the roster was a bit thinner and we were trying to establish people. But when they got that win over the Young Bucks in that tournament, I was like, oh man, these guys are great. And I enjoyed their association with Matt Hardy. I think that probably served them well and allowed them to get better away from the spotlight. But now, given how strong the AEW tag team division is, I would love for them to, maybe distance themselves from the Hardy family office, the Andrade Hardy family office. Oh. And just, be like the Young Bucks or be like the Jurassic Express or FTR. They're a unit. You can give them another manager if you want. I know that AEW likes doing that. But I really do think that those two have something. And I mean, the AEW's got tag team for days, but there's something there. And the sooner we get to it, the sooner I think we'll start to see it again.
Alex.
So with the AEW side, I'm going to flex my Joshi skills a little bit and say Emi Sakura. Emi Sakura is definitely, she's a legend. She's a Joshi legend. She's been in the business for 20 plus years. She's had amazing matches with Miko Satomura and Asuka. And she's stuck in dark. And she had a great look coming in. She's the killer queen. And especially we've seen her amazing, fantastic heel work even on the Joshi side of the tournament that they had last year with the women's tournament. And they sent away Lulu Pencil. They sent away Mei Suruga. And that was more so Visa terms. It's not so much AEW. But I think Emi Sakura is a great heel. I mean, there are other fantastic heels within that women's division, but she has what it takes to elevate women like Jade Cargill. Jade Cargill is now the TBS champion, but I think that she definitely needs more opponents under her belt. And I think that Emi Sakura could give her fantastic matches. And Jade Cargill has had fantastic matches. We saw her main event Rampage, and that was a really great match against, with Anna Jay. And I feel like we have to put Emi Sakura into that mix as well, because she can elevate these women just a little bit more with the matchups, and they're great matchups. I mean, everyone's doing a fantastic job from Britt Baker all the way down to Serena Deeb, but Emi Sakura is a legend, and it disappoints me a little bit to see her just stuck on AEW Dark. I mean, there's time within Rampage, a little bit, it's actually an hour, but there's time within Dynamite where we've seen matches and we've seen promos drag out, and we see people like, maybe there should have been another women's match in here. I don't know, who knows? Get Emi Sakura. You know, she's having a really great matchups on Dark. You can have those matchups on Dynamite, whether they're a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, who knows? But let's bump her up a little bit in AEW. With WWE, I'm gonna go with Cesaro, because Cesaro, when you first saw Cesaro, you knew that there was potential for him to be WWE champion, and he has yet to hold a Universal Championship or the WWE Championship. It's been a while since he's held a singles title. They threw in a tag title with him, and I think it was Shinsuke Nakamura. Very random, but even so, last WrestleMania, he had a fantastic match with Seth Rollins, and I thought that was going to bump him up more. And he's just somebody that is just wasted in this. And we talked about it earlier, right? How there's probably no one else in that title scene, or no one else that is potential or like worthy enough in terms of booking and marketing and characters and yada 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 for the Royal Rumble. But Cesaro just has the look, he has the skills, he has the mic skills as well, if you just throw him the mic with no script. But I think that Cesaro definitely deserves much more respect.
Emilio. Oh, actually, before we get to you, Emilio, very quickly, guys, we will get to some Q&A. So if you have anything, please leave a super chat. Leave $1, leave 1,000. I know SRS has his preference, but it's all good with me. Emilio, go for it, man.
All right, so my mind has been racing since we've been, discussing this, because there's so many that you really want to pick, and I'm thinking in my head, do I go Damian Priest or Mustafa Ali? And and it's crazy to think that you have to say, well, which one, because both of them are totally underutilized. Yes, Priest is the United States champion, but he hasn't really been doing anything, needle moving in regards to elevating this championship or having a really solid foundation in regards to that career defining match yet in regards to holding this title. And then Mustafa as well, it's like the guy can talk, he can play babyface, he can play heel, he could do it like seamlessly, he can go between the two, he's good looking, he could be a really good representation for Muslim culture. And it's just like, he has all these tangibles to really be one of those guys that can do the media run, and he can wrestle his ass off, and you don't get to see that, much like Ricochet, like Simon was saying. So it's just, it's incredibly head scratching and frustrating at times, because they have such an amazing wellspring of talent that they don't say, we're going to give you a shot and let's see where it goes, and we're going to put the work in for months. It's just always wishy-washy. Let's see where it goes real quick, and then we wash our hands of it. On the AEW side, I would love to see Powerhouse Will Hobbs go on a godly run, because he is tall, he is strong, and what people don't pay attention to, and I think if you go back and you watch what Hobbs does, is the nuance of like the facial expression, the body movement. There is this like air of narcissism to him, and you very rarely see him get off his feet, but when he does, it feels big. I also like the fact that everything is in an expression. To me, that's a telltale sign of a really good professional wrestler, is when they have the tangible of really using the facial expression to their advantage. And plus, if you don't want him to speak, even though like he can, you have Ricky Starks. You have my brother in Pearl, Ricky Starks. And that is the one of the most important mouthpieces in AEW. And those two dudes they should be doing more as well. So Hobbs and Ricky, and Mustafa and Damian Priest would be my two. I had to go a little extra because my mind was
That's
racing
okay.
while everybody
Well,
was
let's
talking.
very quickly shout out the old school WWF logo. Is that a pin on your?
Yeah, I
that.
forgot who gave this to me, and this
Good
is the
luck.
first time I'm wearing this denim jacket in a very, very long time. I was recently cleaning out my closet just to like donate clothes, and I'm like, oh wait a minute, I have a denim jacket. I was gonna rebuy one. Never mind, I like this one. Oh, the scratch logo pin, cool. So whoever gave me this, I remember I got this at a wrestling event, and thank you. You're a peach.
I'll give mine very, very quickly. On the WWE side, I mean, he was just WWE champion, but let's be honest. WWE has not done right by their black champions. They did not do right by Big E. They did not do right by Kofi Kingston. They did not do right by Bianca Belair.
Naomi as well.
Naomi either.
Yeah.
Let's just work. It doesn't have to be by WrestleMania, but let's just please. Also, why did Kofi lose to Madcap Moss? I could go on about this for days. Let's just. I know King Woods is out injured. Let's just please start the healing process. And when you get back to a world title for Big E, make it count this time. That is my only wish.
Agreed.
Oh, I have so much viscosity towards that because ultimately he is my best friend in real life, and I
You and Andreas Hale must be fighting over that honor.
Oh, no, listen, this is a bromance. It's all right. Like we could be what is it called? A thruple?
A thruple, that's the one.
We could be a bestie thruple.
Yeah.
It's fine. We could be a bestie thruple, but I just want to touch upon E for a second, if I can.
Yes,
if I
please.
can. I think what he did as WWE champion is nothing short of exceptional. The brother speaks so eloquently and so articulately about topics that just don't revolve around the world of professional wrestling. He really got into conversations about diversity on the Breakfast Club on Power 105 in New York City. If you are on YouTube, do your Googles and watch that one. He's had amazing conversations with Andreas Hale. Our Heroes Rock is an amazing platform and educational tool. So if you want, please go and support that. But in terms of what he did with media, with the championship, I think speaks volumes about how good we can reflect about his championship. Now, the matches and the work rate and all of that, he's phenomenal in the ring. And he looks like if you were to make a wrestler out of a factory, it would be Big E. And he can cut the promos and he's entertaining. But his body of work outside of what he did on camera in WWE, just the media stuff alone, the Goodwill tour, I think we will look back in 5 years and be like, his run was really exceptional because you don't get champions doing that. A lot of champions did not do the outpouring in media that he did, but he made sure that the short time that he had that platform, he was everywhere and he was speaking on things. What other champion is going to go there and to go there literally and talk about mindfulness and having problems with depression and anxiety? Like these are things that are not shared. And to me, and again, I know this is me waving the flag for my brother, but I think that's really important, and that's what you want in a champion. Like you want somebody that can do the goodwill inside and outside of the ring, and he was perfect for it. And they should really capitalize on that again.
Yep, I'll second that as well. Yeah.
His boxing crossovers
yeah.
so, and let me tell you, shout out to my colleagues over at CBS Sports. I know Brian Campbell's a huge pro wrestling fan. Luke Thomas is not, and even he was showering Big E in praise. Like he was doing so much good crossover content. Like you said, Breakfast Club, reaching hip hop markets, reaching black audiences, Luke and Brian are as white can be. He was reaching all demos, and he was doing a great job.
When you could touch everybody and know little things about everything. And listen, he'll probably turn red if he ever saw this, and he'll probably humbly say, no, I don't, like, oh, stop. But like to really try to be just well versed in all these little things really shows like the person does their homework. And if they know they're gonna and he's passionate about college football, he's passionate about boxing and MMA, he's passionate about all these things. So it's you have the perfect mouthpiece to go out there and represent your company in the most positive of ways.
The power of positivity.
Boom.
Boom. Very quickly on
Bing
the
bong.
AEW end, Pac-Man. Oh my God. I forget how much I love him. And every time he makes that walk, the grimace, the physique, the talent, the mic work, he is the total package. And you know AEW had good intentions from the get-go with that win over Kenny Omega. And it's not all their fault. You know, the pandemic hit. It was hard to get him here, get him stateside. But now I worry we're never... He's got good feuds, Andrade, Malachi Black, but I'm afraid they will never really pull the trigger on Pac, and that's a shame because that guy is at the prime of his career, and genuinely, when he gets into that ring, there's nobody more captivating. Okay.
Why do you think that is, though?
Sorry?
Why do you think that is? Why won't they pull the trigger on somebody that has all those tangibles?
I
Because his whole career has been start-stop.
I know. Well, I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know the WWE ever really saw the value. I think AEW does, but I just think there's so much going on right now between having to balance stars that have come in like Adam Cole, CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, and then also show that you are about the future and giving opportunities to MJF and Sammy. Like, I don't really think Sammy needed that TNT belt. And Darby Allin, I just worry that he's in this space between... WWE superstar and AEW talent, and that AEW is going to put too much on the big name guys and their four pillars, and that Pac's going to get lost in the shuffle a little bit. Like, I think he's always going to be in the upper mid card. He's going to flirt, but I'm afraid that they have too much at stake with their other guys to sort of give Pac that chance. I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. Okay, guys, I totally forgot the ad I was supposed to play. So we're going to play it now. Very quickly. You guys won't be able to hear this, but I'll fill you in after the fact. We're going to go to the man, Sean Ross Sapp, very, very quickly.
Here's a fact for you. Everybody on this panel is cool, and they've all eaten cereal.
Okay.
You can't refute it.
Cool.
You can't dispute it. It's true. It's a fact. You want to be cool, don't you? Well, eat some cereal, but eat Magic Spoon cereal, specifically with our code FIGHTFUL at checkout. Save $5 at magicspoon.com/Fightful to save $5 off your order with all the flavors you love. Cookies and cream, maple waffle, frosted, fruity, peanut butter, cocoa, but it's without all the carbs, the sugar, the unhealthy junk. It's got 0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, only 4 net grams of carbs in each serving, and only 140 calories per serving. It's keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, low-carb, and GMO-free. So you get the cereal that you've always loved, but without the guilt. Plus, you'll be cool. And that's important. Also, 100% money back guarantee. That's cool. I find that very cool. If you don't like it for any reason, like, for instance, if you call them up and you say, hey, I would like my money back. I don't want to be cool. They'll say, well, that's your business, but here's your money back. MagicSpoon.com/Fightful. Use that code FIGHTFUL at checkout.
Sean Ross Sapp with the piercing blue eyes. It was a Magic Spoon read for you folks on the broadcast with me. He made a statement that said all your favorite panelists have had cereal before. And I know it's a shot in the dark, but can we prove him wrong? Has cereal somehow evaded anyone here? Oh, okay.
No, I eat a lot of cereal. I like cereal. I don't like Magic Spoon, just to double up on the advert.
Well, I mean, Simon, we can tell that you're snacking on the protein cereals there. Milk or cereal first, very quickly. Emilio, I don't need you to break this one down. I just need milk or cereal.
What you put in the bowl
Cereal
first?
Yeah.
Yeah, cereal first, yeah.
Alex?
Cereal.
Yes, that's the only
Yeah.
answer. Hey, we talked about the Twitter trolls earlier. There are some sick people in this world, and those people put the milk in first.
Special place in hell for y'all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
All right, to wrap up, we will go to the Q&A segment. Thank you guys so much, Simon, Alex, Emilio, for being so involved this far into the show. We're going to go to JW Pringle first, the very generous $19.99. And it's actually wonderful. First, he's given some dark horse picks for the men's side. It's Braun Breaker, who basically seems earmarked for just superstardom.
Yep.
On the women's end, on the women's end, Mickie James, which again, you're seeing me there. I need it to happen. Also, he says, take care of yourself. If you think you need help, please reach out. We love you and need you here with us. Beautiful.
Amen.
Stuff. Amen to that.
Very cool.
Please. Very good message.
All right. And over to Daniel R. He says, hi all. Simon, you the man. You were one of the reasons I got into wrestling. Lucky you, Simon. Thoughts
That's
on
very
Terminus
kind.
show and what they will bring long term. Any thoughts on Terminus? That's obvious.
I like Terminus. Like, I liked it anyway because, I mean, Gresham was doing it. So I was like, Gresham doesn't really muck around when it comes to wrestling. But then I saw the rules list and I was like, well, I'm in. Like, all I want from new promotions now is for them to have, it's not even quirky, it's just old school, really. But I just want them to be able to showcase something different because there's so much wrestling right now. And I think we're privileged to have so much. But you always want something to offer a little bit different. It's why the NWA is cool to watch because it doesn't feel like anything else that you can tune into. So I haven't seen all of the first Terminus show because, well, I had to sit down and find some time to watch it. But I was able to see some highlights that people had put around. And yeah, I think they're bringing in some really cool talent. I know Leah Rush has just signed up with them as well. But it's great when you sit down, you've got to learn what they're doing. What are the rules? What does this mean? What do you mean you can't, hold the ropes? And I know that it's sort of, it kind of extends off the whole Ring of Honor pure stuff, but that's fine. The Ring of Honor pure stuff is excellent as well. So yeah, I'm excited to see what they could do. I think they could really find some momentum.
I'll give this question just whoever's first to kind of chomp at the bit here. I think it's safe to say, well, the wrestling industry appears to be in a very healthy place right now. It's not at what it was, late 90s, early 2000s Attitude Era in terms of just kind of overall viewership. Why is it we're seeing so many promotions and so many promotions on various scales doing well?
Because I think people want variety now, and I think that they see that there's more than just what's on television. I think a company like a GCW is the perfect example of you're going to get a little bit of everything for everybody. And I think what they did was pretty freaking incredible that you can sell out the Hammerstein Ballroom and not even announce one match. I think, Jonathan Gresham's Terminus is really important as well because it shows like, hey, and he won't admit this, but he was, a huge factor in repopularizing pure wrestling in, 2021 and 2022, where now people want to go and they want to see that. Or if you want to go see, women's wrestling, there's so much now that you can go out there and you can go see where I don't need it to be WWF and WCW anymore. And that's the only fix that I'm going to get. And then if I want to go to the bingo hall in ECW, I can do that. I think there's so much for everybody that you can go anywhere and whatever really floats your boat, you go there and you go find it. And it honestly is a universal thing. It is for everybody. As corny as that sounds, like there is something for you somewhere. Enjoy wrestling. If that is what you like, you go there and you go see it. Some of the best wrestling that they're doing. They have incredible visuals. Go see what they're doing. It kicks ass. Like, do it. Just go find good stuff that you like. And I think that's why there's this uprising in promotions, and a lot of promotions do well.
Yeah. And also to add to that, I just think that there's just more platforms to access more wrestling as well. Like, it's true, WWE has been dominating that market for decades upon decades, even before we were born, but some of us. But I think like now there is much more variety, and a lot of it does also have to do with the pandemic. People had time to research and look some things up that they wanted. They had the time to check out AEW when they had the chance. They had the time to check out GCW, and there are a lot of promotions now that are easy to access, with IWTV, and also with some of that stuff being on Fight TV. Like, there's Joshi promotions on Fight TV, and especially with, like Amelia was saying, there's wrestling for everyone. If you want LGBTQ wrestling, there is a promotion, not just a match, but there is a promotion for you. And that says a lot. If you want more women's wrestling, there are multiple promotions for you, especially in the Joshi side. I mean, the standard of women's wrestling has always been Joshi, and that's been the case for decades, almost 3 or 4 decades. The women in the Joshi side, especially in AJW, they have always been more dominant in the market of women's wrestling. And I feel like now, especially again, since people have the time to research, they're researching TJPW, they're researching Stardom, they're going through Ice Ribbon, and even with the exposure that AEW and WWE has with Asuka, with Rio, with Hikaru Shida, like people are branching out, but also including AEW in that conversation. There are all of these wrestlers that are coming from different places that people are falling in love with, like Lee Moriarty, like Daniel Garcia, and people are like, well, what are they doing? And it definitely helps when there are promotions that bring in Minoru Suzuki and they have him face off against Daniel Garcia. So there's just something for everyone now, and I think that's the beauty with wrestling, is that it's grown so much more past the Attitude Era, and it's developed. You got to grow up sometime. You know what I mean? And like, if anything, wrestling has gotten 10 times better than it was in the Attitude Era.
One last super chat before we wrap up the show, because we have hit our timeline. A very quick one. Showering Simon Miller in more praise and showering us in dollar bills, y'all. $5 to the Nerd Guru, who says, Simon Miller on Fightful. I love the wrestling media multiverse. King of the up and downs. You rule. A real positive vibe in the IWC. How do you respond to such kind words, Simon?
It humbles me. Like, it really, really does. And it always will do. And I never get my head around it. I always say the same thing, and it's boring now. But if you had told me, when I was 13 years old watching Raw on a Friday night over here in the UK, that this was going to be my job and people were going to say things like that, I thought you were nuts. So, yeah, I just massively appreciate it. I know I have a stupid job, but it's really fun.
Fightful community, much kinder than the people who find your email online. All right, guys, we have reached the end of our show. I'm going to let everyone do their plugs before we wrap up. Simon, please.
Yeah, What Culture Wrestling. Make sure you check that out. And if you need some kind of central hub, Simon Miller 316 or 316, one may say, on all social media. And that would just sort of send you off everywhere you need to go.
Amazing. Alex?
Yes. Yes. You can follow me on Twitter at Queen of the Ring with 2 G's. Also, you can follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Queen of the Ring. We've been watching Total Divas. We've been doing watch-alongs on SmackDown and Rampage over there. And also, little plug, since we're talking about the Royal Rumble, I am going to be having a watch party with the Royal Rumble on my YouTube channel, so you can subscribe there, Queen of the Ring Wrestling. And yeah, we have a good time.
Amazing. Emilio?
First off, I just want to say thank you to everybody. Alex, I love you. You already know that. Simon, you're a beautiful bastard. I got to tell you that straight out.
Thank you, man.
Shaq, I love you too, man. You got a great smile. Very, very handsome. Thank you for inviting me onto this. It was really, really fun. Okay, so you can follow me Twitter and Instagram at Emilio Sparks, EMILIOSPARKS. Wrasslerap all over the social medias as well. Download the podcast, listen to it. Talking Shop with Gallows Anderson, Rocky Romero, and also download Renee Paquette's Oral Sessions. I also am doing something really, really cool. If you want to, go to the tip thing on the Twitter and send some cash, because I want to enter your name into a drawing to win an autographed Intercontinental Championship signed by damn near every single IC champion in the last 25 years. Now, why am I doing this? Because I want to try to raise proceeds for St. Jude's, and I want to raise proceeds for the Brody Lee Legacy Foundation, the John Hubert Legacy Foundation. So if you are a belt collector or you have never been a belt collector, throw a couple of shekels. It's $100 to enter, and you're going to win an incredible belt. I mean, Jon Moxley signed it. His blood's on the belt. So, hey, enjoy it. You might get it. And all proceeds go to help children in need and individuals chase their dreams in the John Huber Legacy Foundation. Again, thank you very much for joining me, and I appreciate you guys.
Amazing. As for me, guys, Shaq on Twitter. That's okay. There's an underscore. Best place to follow me. If you're into pro wrestling interviews, please check out Shaq Wrestling on YouTube. That's the best place. Got stuff with Tony Khan, Malachi Black, formerly Braun Strowman, now Adam Scherr. Should have Kofi Kingston later this week. Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus early next week. Killer Cross by the end of that week as well. If you like MMA, there's a small little MMA channel, just Shaq MMA. You can check that out too. All of my written stuff over at CBS Sports. most importantly, guys, thank you to SRS and Fightful for hosting the Wrestling Roundtable. You can subscribe to them if you haven't. Just click that button right there, notification bell, all that good stuff. One last time, Simon, Alex, Emilio, thank you for making my day. Thank you for being such wonderful panelists. Bid you all adieu. Until next time, I don't have a catchphrase. So just, enjoy the Royal Rumble.
Hell yeah.
Bye.